Hello and welcome to this demo video. Before we get started, I'd just like to explain to you a few things which will relate to all of the basic range spreadsheets. Number one, there is a key on the intro and setup tab of all of the spreadsheets showing what the different color headers mean. The blue headers mean that the cell's formulated, so it's locked and you can't change it. The yellow headers are where you can input data, and occasionally there might be some gray headers, which is just a different kind of data input, but we'll include instructions as and when that happens. The other thing that you can be aware of is there are ways in which you can damage the spreadsheet. So please do take a look at the link where you see this image, which will take you to a web page to show you how to better preserve your spreadsheet. Please feel free to keep a blank version of the spreadsheet somewhere, so that if you do mess up a spreadsheet that you're using, you can in fact just open a new one, a blank one. And some of the spreadsheets only last for a year, and then you've got a blank one to start the following year. So do keep a blank copy as a backup somewhere. And lastly, wherever you see this image, you can click on it. It'll take you back to the store where you purchased this product to see if you've got anything, any more products. One last thing, to see a demo video, you can click on this on a link that looks like this in order to go to the demo video, but that'll take you to the most recent demo. If in fact we've done upgrades and you're using an older version and you'd like to see the demo relating to your version, then do click on the watch on YouTube link, which will take you to that specific video on YouTube. So I think that's all you need to know. So without further ado, let's move on to this demo video. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this demo video for the job application tracker. This is a spreadsheet that I've created for all of you who are looking for work, looking whether you're unemployed or whether you're employed and looking for another job. Very often, I know what it's like when you're looking for a new job and you apply for loads and loads of positions, and you eventually lose track of where you've applied, who you've applied with, and what jobs you've applied for. And you know, jobs, they kind of go stale. You're not even sure whether you've applied for them and all those kind of things. So what I've done is I've created the spreadsheet where you can actually just list all the jobs that you're applying for, and it kind of reminds you to follow up with them and shows you which stage you should be at, that kind of thing. Let me show you how it works. Put your name in here. It doesn't go anywhere other than the spreadsheet. And the date you last updated your CV. I'll show you why that date's important, because we will get to it in a minute. But on your recruiter database, you've got the last time you sent the recruiter your CV. So if you go here and I say, well, actually, I've updated it on the 3rd of January, then any recruiter that got your CV before the 3rd of January will flag up, and then you know that you need to send them a new CV. When you do, simply update this date with the date that you send them. So if you send them one on the 3rd of Jan, then it goes clear. The 3rd of January clears it. So now you said everyone's got an up-to-date CV. So that's what that does. So each time if you update your CV, put the new date in, and it'll flag up all the recruiters who need a new CV. Then as you scroll down, this is just the warning system, yellow alert or red alert. I've called it warning as yellow, and red alert is stale because it's kind of, the job may have gone stale. And what you do is just put how many days for each of these phases. So phase 1 would be an application to apply, i.e. you've applied until they've replied to you. From a reply to a first interview, from a first interview to second interview, second to third, third to decision. Now, you may not use a second or third interview, you may only have one, and they may give you a decision straight away. But at least if you put those warnings in, it then flags up when something's due. So in other words, if you had a first interview and you haven't had a second interview, and it's been 5 days from the first interview, it'll flag up with a warning. If it's been 10, it'll flag up a stale. So you can change these dates. Just make sure that your stale number for each line is greater than the warning. That's all. You can put those in for each different phase. The last thing is this here, which is a number of working days warning for an interview. So if you say there, for example, 5 working days, then what will happen is 5 days before the interview, the interview will flag up yellow and say, you've got an interview coming up, and on the day it'll go red and say you've got an interview today. So that's what that does. You can put in how many days before the interview do you just want to see a reminder on the spreadsheet. Once you've set that up, this obviously you update as you go along. These you can change as you go along. That you can change as you go along. That's fine. Your name will probably remain consistent. Let's have a look at the different tabs. Now, the first one is a recruiter database. These are all the guys, the recruiters who have your CV. So put down the recruiter name, If it's an individual, you can put their name in, but there's a space for their name as well. So put in the recruiter name, the contact person that you deal with the recruiter, the contact email, contact number, last date you sent your CV. We've covered that as to why that date's important. And then you've got a sorter column. Now, there's a sorter column on some of the other tabs as well. What a sorter column is, you don't actually use it until you want to sort by one of these columns. So as you can see, these are the blue ones. They don't have the little drop down things over here, which means these aren't part of the sort. These will recalculate when you sort. So if you want to, for example, sort by applied, how many jobs, which recruits have applied for the most jobs, then what you can do is you can copy this column. So actually start here, shift control down to the bottom. If you've only got a few items, you can actually just highlight them manually like that. You can say edit, copy, right click here, paste values. Not normal paste. If you do normal paste, you'll ruin the spreadsheet because you'll copy lock cells into unlock cells and it'll ruin it. Paste values, always, always, always paste values. And once you've pasted values, as you can see, those values are now in that column, and now you can sort smallest to largest, largest to smallest, whatever you want to do, and it'll resort. Once you've resorted, you can just come here and clear that data. So it's just a temporary column to copy and paste any values from here that you want to in order to sort and then clear it again. That's all it does. You'll see the same column on the job database as well. It'll serve the same purpose. All right, so that is that, and you can really just add on a recruiter each time each new recruiter. Just make sure that the recruiter name here and the recruiter contact, you don't have any duplicates because they're going to come through as the same person. So in other words, you can have the recruiter name with 2 or 3 different people with the same recruiter name, but don't have the same recruiter name and the same contact name together. Next thing, job database. This is where you can add in all of the jobs that you've applied for. So really, you just come to the next line down. You'll see the next number in sequence. Select the next number. These are just to give them all a unique number. The job description. Put in the job description there. The company with whom you're applying. If you don't know, you can put in something, placeholder there, or the recruiter name or something else. And then it says apply to who. Did you apply to the recruiter, the company, on LinkedIn, on a job site, a third party, or other? This is really just for you to keep track. It doesn't really do an awful lot here, but it just keeps track of where you've applied. And then you can select the recruiter. So as I said, this will give you one person one. That was obviously the recruiter name, one person one. That would say whatever the recruiter name is and the person there. That's why I said don't have the same thing twice, because you'll have the same name twice here on the list. You can select who the recruiter was. You only need to select who the recruiter was if you select recruiter here. But if you may have situations where you want to select I don't know what you want to do, but it's up to you. I've left them open. So if you select recruiter, select the recruiter. If you select obviously company, you can leave this one blank because there wasn't a recruiter involved. Job reference. This is if you get a reference. So if they give you a job reference, for example, if the recruiter gives you a reference, you can put it in here so you know what you're referring to. If they quote by the job reference, you know which one they're looking for. Location, straightforward enough. Salary, straightforward enough. Other benefits, this might be something that you get. Maybe it's close to home. Maybe it's at your child's school. Whatever the case might be, you can just put in a very, very short sentence there, just so that you know that. Because obviously, when you're looking at these jobs, see if you've got a notification there as to what the other benefits are, that might swing you in actually taking one of the jobs or not. So you can put something down in there, and the date you applied. That's obviously important because I'll show you in a second that will kick off the application process. The date that you applied, and then the interview address, the person with whom you're interviewing. If you don't know, you can obviously leave it blank. The place, I've got 2 places, recruiter, company, or other. So maybe you're meeting with a recruiter, maybe you're meeting with the company themselves, and maybe you're meeting a third-party address. That's just so that you know where it is that you're going. Obviously, you're going to have the address down here, but it's just kind of, who are you meeting type of thing. Where are you actually meeting this person? The email address, you can put the email address of the person that you're meeting, the number, and then just some notes. You can put some notes in there about each job, whatever the case might be. That's up to you. And lastly, it's a sorter column. The sorter column, if you do wish to sort by status. Now, the statuses will update automatically. So that's where you list your jobs. It's as simple as that. We've listed all the recruiters, we've listed all the jobs as we apply for them. Now the last thing to do is the application process. Any job that you wish to follow the application process. Some of these jobs you may just apply because they're there or whatever. You might just send off an application. You may not actually want the job necessarily, or you might not be too phased about following up with it, or whatever the case might be. You don't have to put it in the application process. So here what you do is you just select. There's blank, there's nothing there, because what I've done is, I'll show you. If we remove one of those and we go back to the job database, this one says untracked, because this job isn't on the application process. So it says untracked, and that's fine if you want to leave it like that. But if you do want to track the job, when you come here to the drop down list, it'll only give you a list of those items that are on the job database but are not yet on the application process. So you can't add the same job twice. So once you've got that job, you go, yeah, that's the one I'd like. It now knows the application date, and you can start the application. And all it is a bunch of columns. When did you receive the reply? When's the first interview? When's the second interview? And so on and so forth. So all you need to do is just put in, this date will obviously be here. Put in the next date when you receive the reply. As soon as you know when the first interview is, put that in. Now, what I've done is I've actually put in today's date. So let me just remove that for now. What it does is it goes pink or yellow to warn you. So there's some that have gone stale. Those are like the red alerts as far as this is taking too long. The warnings, that's all per your intro and setup, the number of days that you put in the warnings. So now, by looking at this, I'll see that these ones have all had a first interview. The first interview is done. The second interview, this interview has been done, and I'm waiting for a third interview. This one, the first interview, been done. I'm waiting for a second interview on these particular jobs. Now, just say for argument's sake, this one, one of them you want to put it on hold. And the reason why I put it on hold is just in case any long-term delays. You don't want all these red things flagging up, warning you. Let's just say for argument's sake, this guy says, listen, we put the job on hold. We're not making any decisions until the 1st of November. What you can do is you can just say that one's on hold until the 1st of November. What it does is it grays it out. It says it's on hold. So all the warnings stop regarding that job. When you're ready to go again, you can just remove the on hold, and the warning will pop back up again, and then you can actually complete when you hear about the second interview, and it will continue to warn you. So that's really all the on hold is for. Just put in a date until it's on hold. As soon as it's off hold, just remove that date, and that's the job done. So let's just say, for argument's sake, today is the 18th of October. Let's just say we get an interview for the 19th of October. Now, it won't be the 19th because it'll be a Saturday, but let's just put it in for argument's sake. Now, it's flagged up yellow to tell you there's an interview warning. If we had that interview today, it'll go red to say you've got an interview today. So that's really just the warning for the interview. I'll show you again where that applies. So that's straightforward enough. You follow through to the third interview. Now, at whatever stage you get a reply from the person or a decision from the person, it may be after, you might even not even have an interview. You may have an interview. It may happen at any stage you get a reply. These are the options that you can select. No reply, i.e., and if you're still waiting, leave it blank. But if you kind of give up on the job and you know you're not going to get a reply because it's been 6 months and they just haven't bothered, you can just say no reply, and it just goes down as denied. Or what you can do is you can come here and you can say turn down. That's them turning you down. This is their decision. No, but keen. In other words, they turned you down for this job, but maybe they're keeping you in mind for another one, or they're still keen, or whatever. It just lets you know that there's some options going on there. Lost to another. This is if you've lost to another person, you can select that. And lower offer. If they offer you a lower offer, you can select the lower offer. And if they offer you a job, you can select the job offered. Once you've selected that, you can then select your reply. Now, obviously, if their reply is turned down, you can still select your reply, but your reply doesn't really matter because you can't really counter offer anything like that. But for argument's sake, if they offer you a lower offer, you could then come here and say, well, you've counter offered. So it's really just a case of putting in the decision, and then if they change your decision, you just change it over here. But for argument's sake, if they turn you down, then you turn it down and it says that job is denied. If they offer you the job, it's active, it's waiting for you to make a decision. Now, if you make a decision and you say accept, now you can see that job is successful. If you make a decision and say turn down, then it says, she says you declined the job. So it just keeps track of where each job is, what's happening with it, and gives it a status. So you can fill in the decision, their decision and your decision at any stage whenever they make their decision, really. Or you might make a decision of declining the job before they even offer it to you, in which case just decline it, it'll show the status, and then that job is effectively done. That is all. That's all you need to do to follow the particular job. So you've got the application, you've got the job database of all the jobs, whether they've got into the application or not, and you've got the recruiter database. Lastly are the two formulated tabs. These are all automated. This first one is the second one, sorry, is the interview list. It shows all the interviews you got coming up in order, so it'll bring out some details. As you know, the red ones are today, the yellow ones are the ones coming up. If we go to the application process and say, well, actually that job is going to be on the 22nd of October, sorry, the interview, it still goes yellow to warn us. And if we have a look at the interview list now, you'll see it's in yellow. Lastly is this. This is one page. Now, up until that point, this is all the information regarding that particular job. The final graph at the bottom just breaks down all your jobs as to where they are. So you've got a quarter of the jobs inactive, a quarter of the jobs actions required, and half the jobs are looking as stale. So this is just a breakdown of your jobs, all the jobs in the application process, based on, or actually, no, they're untracked. So it's all the jobs based on your job database over here. It'll give you a breakdown of that. So that's just a breakdown of where all your jobs are at the moment, what status they're in. So this won't change per individual job, but everything above that will all change per the job that you select. So you just come here and you select. So if you select sales manager, it shows you there's an application needing attention. If you scroll down, it'll show you what it is. You're waiting for the third interview. It'll give you all the details of that particular job on one page. If you go to the second job, it'll say interview approaching. You can scroll down and see what, second interview is coming up, that kind of thing. So it really just populates this based on your selection of a particular job. So these are two automated lists. You can just select that. On the interview, if you do have a full page of interviews, you can come here and select to go to page 2. There is only one page. If that says page 1 of 2, you can come here and select, then input 2, and it'll show you page 2 of 2. One last thing that I need to show you is obviously on the application database here, it shows you which of these are on the job list. So they're all on the job list, so that's fine. If, for argument's sake, this one over here, you make a decision, or these guys come back and say, no, they're not going to offer you, so you've been turned down, and this job's denied, then what you can do here is you can either come here and remove the thing by going clear contents, or what you can do, if you remove it from here, then you come to the job database, it's going to show it here as untracked. But if you've got numerous untracked ones, then what you can do is you can come here to this denied job, you can highlight that, clear contents, resort by job number, smallest to largest. So that will then resort all of your data. And when you come to the application process, you'll see straight away jobs missing from the database. This one, there's a cross there. It's not on. Then what you can do is you can just come and do the same for this one. Clear contents, sort by that, A to Z. There. If you've got numerous jobs that you want to remove, what I would do is I suggest removing them here first, because then you can come to this job database and you can copy the status and paste the values into the sorter column and sort by untracked and then clear all of those in one go. So that is really the whole application. As you can see, if you scroll down, you can track, I think, about 3,000 odd jobs. So you mightn't even run out of space. So yeah, that is the job application tracker. I hope that that makes sense. I've gone through it in as much detail as I possibly can. I think that that's all you need to know. And I wish you all the best for your job search. Please do just have a look at the top here. Don't move any cells or copy and paste. In fact, if you scroll down to here, how to keep your spreadsheet working, you may just want to go and have a look at that page and see what not to do to keep the spreadsheet working in good nick. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's all you need to know. And I hope that the spreadsheet works for you. And I really hope that you find your dream job sooner rather than later. I wish you all the best of that. Thank you and goodbye.